Hello, in this video we're going to look at how to write to text files. Again, you can write to text files in a variety of ways, just like you can read from text files in a variety of ways. We're going to learn to do this using the Buffered Writer and File Writer class. Some special notes at the bottom. Dwight Contest is a great programming contest. It's a team contest, but you have to know how to read and write to files. So this will give you those essential skills so you can do the problems. There are many ways to do this, so like I said, a little research before you dive into your programming task is always good. And it's really important as a programmer, you kind of map out what you want to do beforehand, because that can save a lot of time at the end. Think about your route before taking the route, and you're going to find a faster path to the end. Anyways, and finally, if you're writing applets, this won't necessarily work. You have to do a little bit of added manipulation, and you can find out how to do that by consulting online textbook, which I think is great. The link is in the notes for this video. All right, that's enough said. Let's dive in. So here's my file, and what I'm going to first thing I'm going to talk about is say we have to deal with exceptions when we deal with file reading and writing. So I don't want to get into try and catch statements in here. So what I've done is I've just made my main method throw a general exception. Really worth exploring exceptions, but right now all of this is going to work because I have this line and my method throws exception. All right, so we're going to make a buffered writer. We'll just call it out. This new buffered writer, and the constructor for buffered writer takes what's called a file writer, and that takes the name of the text file. So we're going to out.txt. Now we've gone a little bit just off the end here, so let's drag this over a little. There we go, now you can see it all. So you're going to get some, notice up here I have all the import statements already there, but if I didn't, you get an error like this, and you just click and you say import file writer. Just go here and you click and you say import buffered writer, and then it's all imported. Now I get a little warning saying that I haven't used this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple things here. I want you to be able to see the left-hand side here, so I'm going to drag that over and do this. There we go. Okay, out is my buffered writer object. So if I go out dot, and again, if you're in Eclipse, you get all the methods here. But if you're not in Eclipse and you don't have this, you can find these online. I really want to encourage students and any programmer to get used to using online documentation. We're going to say out.write. This is my first line. I don't know why it's capitalized. And so what this says is, it says, we're going to write, this is my first line, to the file out.txt. So now if I run this, it's going to take that string and put it in there. I could do out.write 1, 2, 3, 4. We're always writing strings into a file. But it doesn't mean that if I have something like an integer called num, I could do out.write the number is num. And then I can do, so now I'm writing the file, but the key thing to remember when you're writing to files is you have to finish the process with an out.close. If you don't do this, the file will have nothing in it. And so often what happens when we're programming, we'll write a wonderful program, it'll be great, and then we'll forget to close it. So everything will be right, and we can't find the mistake. And the mistake is often forgetting this line. So make sure you have it at the very end, because this is actually what does the physical writing to the file. So if I run this, it executes fine. And the nice thing about this process is that it will actually create the text file out.txt. So it creates it for us. You don't have to go and pre-make it, which is nice if you have a game and you're trying to, a username when they first start the game, and you can actually create a file to store the information. So if the person comes back, they can grab that information again. But if you're in Eclipse, if you go up to Files or whatever your project is and press F5, it will prompt it. So there's out.txt. So I write, this is my first line, 1, 2, 3, 4, the number is 9. So I'm writing to the file, but what you might notice now is there's no spaces here. So let's go back in and let's see if we can figure out how to add some space, some new lines. Well, it turns out there's a really nice method called out.newLine, and that essentially simulates if you were writing in the text file, you pressing return. It's good to know every time you start this. So we're going to continue to modify out.txt, which is just slightly off the page here, which is always a little annoying. It's going to actually clear out the file and start again. So if I run this, and now I go into here, it's going to say the contents have been updated, and there it is. So let's take a look. Oh, we can see I did new line twice there. So let's take this one out. So if I run this, out.txt, yes, perfect. In here. So watch what happens, just so you understand. If I delete this out.close and I go out.write last line, and I run this, it will run. Great. No errors. I come in here and I get nothing. The reason why I get nothing is because when we, let's go back in there. When we create the buffered writer object called out, let's just drag this right over, and it basically wipes out that entire file. And so I can do all this writing to it, but it doesn't actually copy the information to the file until I go out.close. So now if I run this, perfect, and I go to out.text, there's my information. Well, I hope this helped. Reading right into files, like everything, there are lots of ways to do this, and the best thing to do is to dive in there and practice and play around with different techniques. If you have any questions, like always, please feel free to post a comment or ask a question, and I'm happy to look up and explore other ideas because I love to learn new little programming techniques. Have a great day.